I'm Reza Porkamami, founded Five Sky in October of 2012. It's been an interesting almost 3 years for us. We're coming up on our third birthday in about a week and a half from now. Five Sky is a services business that focuses in the data center. We provide these services to some of the larger enterprises around the world. I've been an entrepreneur almost all my life. I remember my first company in college where we had no idea how to even start a company, let alone try to lead it and grow it. But since then, throughout all the experiences, we've looked at things that were exciting, new, next gen for us. Five Sky was a little different. There were really three key factors for us to look at when we decided this was where we were going to go into. First and foremost, I think it was really important for us to identify a need that was big enough for us to go after, and we found that in the market. Secondly was my experience. If you look at our industry, it's an ecosystem, right? And over the last 19 years, I've had the pleasure of being in different sections of that ecosystem, from being the customer, being the engineer who had to deliver the work to the customer, being the grumpy salesperson, all the way to working at a manufacturer. So I thought, having sat in every part of this, I can kind of bring it together in a way that I hadn't done before, right? Look at it from all the things I hated when I was a customer and all the things I hated when I was an engineer. And I said, if I solve those, then I'm building something that brings a new way of innovating to all these groups that we're involved with. And that was really big for us. The third defining point for us was that it's an industry that we can scale in. Specifically, if you look at services industries, most of the time, companies are started and they play in the market they live in. So as a small startup, they're providing services to the SMB market. And as their industry, as their business grows, they're going after larger industries. Here, we looked at it and saw the ability for us to be able to go after some of the larger customers and thus enable us to grow really rapidly, which has been a key success for us. I'm fortunate to say that some of the biggest learning experiences have been from my failures. The bigger the failure, I think the bigger the learning experience has been. And although at the time it might not feel very pleasant, but the next time you travel that road, you've gained this level of confidence that I think would be unachievable or unattainable any other way than having gone that road before. I knew that we needed to have a supporting ecosystem, right? A mentorship. As a single person starting this company, I knew I needed to go seek help. And through some research, a close friend of mine who's a professor at Columbia had suggested that I meet with the SBDC office. I wrote him an email. I really didn't think much about it, but I was pleasantly surprised to have gotten an email twice as long as the email I sent back. And that kind of opened up the connection for me. From the very first meeting, which I had with him just about 3 years ago when we had just started Five Sky until now, not only a mentor, but an enabler for us. On the mentorship side, I remember my very first meeting, all we talked about was the other 5 or 10 entrepreneurs that they had met with that week and some of their problems. They weren't my problems, but it was nice to know there are others with problems and that they're working through it. And there's this whole world that exists that I'm part of, right? And that kind of gives you the confidence to say, well, if this guy has this problem, mine doesn't seem suddenly so bad and I can go achieve it. The second value add that's been very tremendous for us has been their ability to be an enabler. Every time we come up to a road that we haven't crossed in the past and it's a completely new landscape for us, we've been able to go to them and get direction, gain understanding of what some other people have done, what they've seen fail. They were more than helpful and more than knowledgeable in the areas in which we needed help. And if they didn't, they knew who was. What was important for us was to be able to have someone who understands what we're going through and that who can kind of point into the right direction. And sometimes it wasn't the right direction. It was many directions that they pointed us, right? But it was better than no direction. I think that the two biggest things that come to mind is do it. I think that's really important. People talk about things. I have had friends who come up with brilliant ideas and the next time I see them, it's the same brilliant idea, it's just a little less brilliant. Every day it becomes less and less if you don't do it. The second thing, which more specifically I've seen around a lot of tech startups, smaller tech startups, is that they're trying to build this dream. And if you look at the first Lamborghini, it wasn't a Lamborghini. It was a car that drove. And it went forward and made some turns, and it had a lot of problems. Even if you go back 20 years from now, it still wasn't a refined machine. But it constantly adopted and evolved and grew. It's unfortunate when I see some of these startups kind of get really focused down to their future functionality and these little things, and they really haven't thought about some of the bigger things, and they're trying to focus on getting all the little things sorted out. I think having the shortest path to success at the beginning is important, right? People want to take a step back and build the best, greatest, and awesomest things. That will come. If you have the idea, you have the right team, and the passion, it will be that. Don't lose sight through the process and prolong things and be afraid of entering the market. Go in the market, get slapped, come back, redo it, and go do it again. I think that's the fastest, most efficient way to success.